Hello and welcome to Last Week in AWS. I'm Corey Quinn. Let's see what AWS has for us this time. ECS now provides action logs for deployment and orchestration visibility because apparently ECS was doing things on your behalf this whole time and just declining to mention them. Now you can watch for the low price of CloudWatch ingestion fees. Meet the observability feature that ends the please open a support case ritual and starts the why is my log bill higher than my compute one. Amazon Managed Service for Prometheus supports 1.5 billion active metrics and 200,000 rules per workspace. Nobody sane wakes up wanting 1.5 billion active metric time series. They wake up with a cardinality explosion that caught them by surprise and a bill that reads like a hostage negotiation. This raises the ceiling on how much you can measure, which conveniently also raises the ceiling on how much you'll pay to measure it. SES introduces pricing plans. 3 tiers named Essentials or Shitty, Pro, you probably want this one, and Enterprise, we think you're a cow and are absolutely going to try to milk you. Because simple email service apparently outgrew simplicity somewhere around the second bullet point. The pitch is that bundling saves you money versus a la carte, which they're hoping occludes the fact that they just axed the SES free tier. The Network Load Balancer now supports listener rules for custom traffic routing. Now, the application load balancer has had listener rules since basically launch, so the network layer cousin finally getting them feels less like innovation and more like AWS returning a library book, which they also describe as innovation. Also, it collapses your 2 NLB IPv4/v6 workaround into one, sparing you a load balancer you were of course paying for. Organizations increases RCP quota to 2,000 per organization. Doubling the limit from 1,000 to 2,000 tells you 2 things. Number 1, somebody just hit 1,000, and 2, that customer's governance model is a screaming multi-account hellscape held together with JSON, prayers, and duct tape, which kinda doesn't narrow it down very much. AWS now supports automatic credit memo application preferences. Somewhere, an accounts payable team just wept tears of joy over a checkbox that decides which invoice your credit memo attacks first. Original, next, or oldest unpaid. Choose your weapon. Most folks have no idea what I'm talking about, except for a few of you out there. I see you. Your reconciliation spreadsheet has become a war crime. This fixes it. Secrets Manager now publishes secret update notifications to EventBridge. Turns out you no longer need to reverse engineer 3 CloudTrail events like a detective piecing together a ransom note. Leave the money in the bag or your SOC 2 audit gets it in the back of the skull. Just to learn that a secret changed. Now Secrets Manager tells you directly on the default bus at no extra cost past the already usurious 40 cents per month per secret pantsing that they're already giving you. Shocking generosity. Enjoy it before someone in pricing notices. JVM memory, CPU, and class path best practices for Java containers on AWS. Your app that passed every test, detonating after a routine kernel patch with 0 code changes, is Java's love language. The fix is knowing your container shares the host kernel and that the wildcard class paths resolve in whatever order readdir feels like today. This serves as a depressingly useful post. Also, a haunting reminder that it works on my machine now includes the kernel. Good luck! Connection pooling strategies into Amazon Aurora DSQL, the serverless database that handles operational complexity by making it billing complexity, also disconnects you hourly, throttles you at 100 connections per second, and requires a 4-strategy checklist to not fall over on you. Serverless apparently means you still babysit the connections, just with extra IAM tokens. At least PG Bouncer gets a vacation. Custom OS installation now available on DeepRacer devices. A bootloader for a service AWS already killed off, so the toy cars stuck on end-of-life Ubuntu 16.04 can run something modern. It's a sweet gesture letting the community keep the corpse warm. Nothing says commitment like unlocking custom firmware and blinking developer mode in Morse code as your parting gift. That's not a joke, it actually does that. Thermodynamic sampling of disordered materials with an analog Hamiltonian Rydberg simulator. QEra's Aquila network atom rig gets repurposed by Bracket as a Boltzmann-weighted RNG as a service. They map carbon/nitrogen graphene dopant sites onto ground/Rydberg states, regress the Hamiltonian against classical DFT energies, Then apply a global rescaling factor, or alpha V, because their coupling constants ran hotter than the hardware's dynamic range. Physics FinOps, basically. The imperfect part of the annealer, finite temp, noise, sloppy atomicity, is reframed as the actual feature since it's what makes the sample Boltzmann distributions instead of just chasing a ground state. As a bonus, the nearest neighbor atom spacing is now a literal temperature dial, so you're auto-scaling thermodynamics by moving atoms half a micron. 1,000 shots beats brute force Monte Carlo in the correlated regime. Unlocking data residency use cases with Amazon S3 and AWS local zones. Compliance mandates say your data must stay in Athens, so naturally the fix is single zone storage with no redundancy inside the boundary. Lose that one zone and your geographic residency requirements becomes a geographic incident report. Regulators wanted the data local, they didn't specify, and also occasionally gone. Someone's in for a treat someday. And finally, the security bulletins. This week's bulletin pile is a tour through every promise the industry made and then broke, opening with a 4-year-old SQL injection hiding in table names that Athena's Synapse connector trusted like a golden retriever trusts strangers, followed by the path traversal in a HIPAA-eligible linter, a tool whose literal job is catching mistakes and whose actual talent is letting attackers write files anywhere they please. The running gag, though, is Rust, the language everyone swore would end our suffering, which just learned you can abort the process with nested JSON, and, in a separate humiliation, that slow Loris still flattens the memory-safe HTTP server using an attack older than the iPad, because memory safety was never the part of your stack that needed limits. The TLS library AWS built to outsafe everyone chips in 2 bugs whose only cures are downgrading to TLS 1.2 or the ancient off and on again ritual, while an MCP security policy that fails open on startup decided that when it can't load its rules, the responsible move is to shrug and wave everyone through. To cap it off, the Bedrock Agent Core package installer wants you to stop letting your AI agent pass model-generated input to the thing that installs software, which is adorable given that passing model-generated input to things is the entire reason the agent exists. Patch to 1.18.1 and pretend the sandbox was ever a sandbox. 8 bulletins, one lesson nobody will absorb is that your shiny tools fail in the oldest possible way, and the patch notes still expect you to be grateful. And that's what happened last week in AWS. I'm Corey Quinn. Stick around.